Next, we're going to welcome our next team, that is a Capstone project. So the team is Marin Mosqueda, Casey Kitchen, Shannen Maxwell, Aaron Finocchiaro, and Carlos Ballesteros. This project was sponsored by the Western Arizona Economic Development District, and the mentors were Mr. Alan Pruitt and Professor Henry Werchan as well. So please, Marin, Aaron, are you ready? Carlos, I see it. Carlos over there.
Yeah, I think it's the three of us. I don't see Casey here yet. I think he said he was coming though.
Okay. You can start like sharing your screen if you want.
Okay, I can. Do you guys want me to pull it up or?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sweet.
Thank you.
While they're pulling it up, Dan, I would just mention that Alan Pruitt is also here, the government sponsor. So.
Oh yes, thank you, Professor Werchan.
I'm here, Doctor. I'm sorry, I had a phone call. I had to get on right quick.
Okay, you can start whenever you're ready.
Okay, so basically with our team, I was actually project manager. We had actually 5 people, and it actually worked out really well because we had 3 coders. We had 1 tester, which was Shannen, and she actually works as testing in her real job. And my developers were Carlos, Marion, and Aaron, and they actually do coding. And I actually been a project manager for almost 27 years. So it was kind of nice to have a real world project. So instead of me talking too much, I will let Aaron or Marion take this over and explain the technical details of it.
Yeah, I can explain it. So basically, when Alan took us on our first tour of the WAEDD website, pretty much what it was is it was just a lot of tables that he had imported into his HTML document from Google Sheets, and they would load up. And basically, when you went as a viewer to look at like what was there, it would basically just be those tables, and there was no context for the viewer that allowed those numbers in the tables to tell you much of anything. You know what I mean? I think it was, you could sit there and figure out the trends in your head if you stared at the numbers long enough and did the math in your head and whatnot. But what the goal was really to have visualization. So that way, when somebody went and they looked at the pages, they would see that, okay, you know, there's pie charts and graphs and various elements that allow the data to, you know, when the user leaves the page, they know, like, they understand what is going on and what we are trying to tell them when they're looking at that page. So originally, it was also some data that just, you know, maybe the graphs didn't work right, or the data was just irrelevant to what was going on. So we changed it to be more focused and to be more specific for the area that was being displayed. So for those that didn't work, or haven't seen it or don't know what the Western Arizona Economic Development District is, it's basically a section of Western Arizona that's made up of Mojave County, Yuma County, and La Paz County. And the CEDS document is a document that is basically, I'm trying to sum this up in a way that like is not too wordy, but it basically summarizes all of the economic statistics and everything that surrounds the economies in those 3 counties, which make up that whole Western Arizona region. So think like unemployment, income, population, and how all of those relate, industry-specific employment, that sort of thing. It really got into the weeds of like, I mean, the way we tackled it was like, okay, let's just, I went through and did one section of it at a time. to kind of determine, because everyone was a little bit different. So I kind of had to determine like, okay, what kind of graphs do I want to use? I'm not a data scientist, by the way, I'm a network engineer. So like, this is all new to me to like figure out how to best display data. But that was like a big concern for us, was how are we going to accurately display this data and really like make sure it is useful to look at. You know what I mean? When you look at it, you're not left wondering like, wow, that made no sense. You know what I mean? It really is clear as to where the trend, you know, what the trend is, what's happening, and how these three areas relate to make up this Western Arizona district. So I used Python basically to do the entire thing. I mainly focused on the Plotly library, which allowed me to output HTML graphs that I could use in place of the tables that were there. So it ends up with a graph like this. This is just a pie chart. There are a bunch of others. And then I made tables that match the theme of the website with Plotly as well, which was like kind of trickier than it sounds. But the other thing that it instead of making it so Alan or somebody else that works at Western Arizona Economic Development District has to, like, the old way was they had to go in and manually update all of the data in those Google Sheets. What I did when I took this over was I figured out the APIs for all of these, mainly for the Bureau of Labor Statistics and the Census Bureau. That is like the two major pieces that this interacts with, because most of the data comes from Bureau of Labor Statistics. For Section 5, I would say it's about half and half, Bureau of Labor Statistics and Census Bureau. But for Section 3, which were the two big sections we did, it was pretty much all Bureau of Labor Statistics. So my goal was I had to figure out like, okay, where is the data, you know, what tables is it getting data from, how to interact with the API, and then making sure that when you run it, it gets updated data for you. So that way the data is, you know, accurate, up to date, and is correct for the region that we're talking about. Because a lot of times things were split among them, and I can kind of show that, but like it wouldn't just be for that whole region, it would be for like the city of Kingman. And so I had to get the specific data for city of Kingman, and then city of Lake Havasu City, or, you know, wherever. So that was tricky part number one, you know, and interacting with that API, especially because a lot of the documentation that the Bureau of Labor Statistics had was just old. And it was, I mean, they're kind of complex APIs to work with on their own. So figuring them out definitely took a little bit of time, but once I got it figured out, everything coming from there reliably into this, it really like just kind of worked out nicely. And part of this, what I did was I made it so that any region could use this, what I wrote, because I wrote a module to interact in Python with the Bureau of Labor Statistics and the Census Bureau APIs. So if some other economic, I mean, I'm from New England, so if some other economic district in New England wanted to use this, all they would have to do is find the series IDs that relate to the data they want for tables that are at Bureau of Labor Statistics, plug them in, and it would work. It would do the same thing, and they'd be able to use it as well. And my goal was like, you know, I could maybe open source this if I really want to continue working on it after I'm done, or something like that, that, you know, I don't know, there may be somebody out there that is like, wants to do this as well. And there's not a tool for it. So, you know, I decided to take the time to write the tool for it. So that was kind of a diversion from the project that helped me, you know, at the end, tied it right back in and really made it so like everything works nicely. So yeah, I mean, I can, Marin, if you want to speak about the Google Maps piece.
Yeah, it's pretty great. I think we still have a little more time to go. As you can see on the pictures in the middle, we have the design, the old view, the new one. As Aaron already say, we used to have like tables before, and now we're able to locate data faster by using charts. And as well, The CEDS has this section where people locate each city on the counties. And before we used to have like this map highlighting one, like I would say the main part of the city, but it was important. We noticed it's important for people to know like where exactly is the whole city and how it looks. And we were able to find a way to highlight the entire city. So I see an example in the pictures. It's kind of small, but this one is the old design, the city of Somerton, and in this side is now all Somerton being highlighted. So whoever is using this page has an idea of how big the city is and how much it covers. And we were lucky enough for Alan to share the code of the HTML page using GitHub, which make it more easy to share between all the users. And even though we come with a lot of conflicts, talking with other people that also want to participate in this by sharing how it's going to be updated for the community profiles, we did pretty good job on improving a small piece, which seems to be really impacting on everybody. And that's pretty much all we can say. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, all of you. Thank you for sharing your experience and your project. I know that we have 2 minutes for questions. I don't know if our sponsor, Alan Pruitt and Professor Henry Werchan would like to speak or say something about this project. Feel free to do it.
Yes, Alan, please go ahead if you have anything to say. So.
Okay, camera lights, there we go, green lights on. First, I want to extend my deep felt gratitude. That's all I can say with a capital G. This team was fabulous. The remote coordination was top notch. I mean, the expectations were met and exceeded, particularly with the coding schemes. The work, I introduced the team to GitHub. GitHub is the coin of the realm in a lot of projects, mainstream projects out there in the work world. And they took that and they executed perfectly on Documented. They've left basically a breadcrumb trail in GitHub that any future classes or future developers that come along and get introduced to this project, they merely have to read the markdown notes in the GitHub site, and it should be crystal clear where this started, where it was left at, and improvements to make. So the extra heavy lift that Aaron did on the documentation is truly appreciated. It's going to be a huge advance work, for the next group that comes along here. This project has a national, believe it or not, there are national level organizations that are just now taking in everything this team did, and the accolades and the praise coming in by the subject matter experts in this field is fantastic. The work they've done in here has never been attempted before, and it's really got a lot of eyeballs looking at the federal government level as well as here in the state of Arizona. So I'm not going to use up the rest of the time. Bravo, well done. You guys are going to do great no matter where you land, and I hope to meet you out there in the post-COVID world and see what you're up to once you graduate. Go Wildcats!
Bear down.